Yeah, fellas, welcome to the show. I'm doing a update of the so-called player rules. Someone on YouTube, I want to thank him for the donation he sent in order to get this response. Someone on YouTube thinks that the player rules change over time. And to the brother, I'm sorry I forgot your name. Again, thank you for the donation. But I don't know where or what type of mindset you have, what's wrong with your mind, that would make you ever think that the rules would change over time. I don't get it. The rules are the same yesterday as they are today. Now, I guess people who think that women change. And their base nature does not change. Society changes. We have more homosexuals out of the closet and in our faces. I just watched that new movie coming out of England, The Kingsman. And they had fat Elton John's gay ass up in there. England does it. They prop gays up on pedestals and bow at their feet and worship them. They think it's cool and brilliant. That's the English for you. Brilliant. So that's one of the changes in society. But women are still basically the same. But I did compile some rules that I'll share with people that watch this video. And it applies to people that are on my YouTube channel. Also, people that are on my forum. Anyone that listens to me. Number one, if you can't understand the concept that women do the choosing, then leave. Don't watch my videos. Don't come to my forum. If you cannot understand the simple truth that women do the choosing, you don't belong around me. And if you're in my forum, you're going to try to sneak it by, and I'm going to see you every time. What I do my private group to help guys improve their internet dating conversation stuff, I'm going to make sure that when we work on your conversation in the group format, that you screen capture her first email. So you go to your POF account and or other account other than Tinder. I will not do Tinder because people who do Tinder are cheap, superficial fucks, and I'm just sick of cheap, superficial males. I'm out of patience. I'm done. So eventually this group is going to revolve or evolve into guys who are looking to find love. That's who the guys I really want to work with and help. But I need to figure out how to run the group and do the teaching. So I'm giving you guys the benefit of getting access to this in my early development process, so to speak. So I'm going to make sure that they screen capture their page from the beginning to the end. I'm not going to take any more guys that cut and paste because you can change the words. And I'm also making that on the forum as well. If you cut and paste, I'm not going to look at it. You got to screen capture as you do with everything else. And if you try cutting shit out, I'm not going to look at it or help you. So, getting back on point, if you can't understand the simple concept that women do the choosing, they choose who they're going to let stick their dicks or a guy's dicks up their asshole. Eventually, weird sex does happen in relationships. So that's what they're looking at. Okay, do I like this guy enough to be able to put my mouth on this thing? So they choose. They don't go out necessarily and get all drunk and not know who they're fucking. Some girls do. But we're not talking about cheap and superficial. I'm talking about grown-up stuff. Number two, if you do understand that women do the choosing, but you still want to hoe chase, then leave my video blog, leave my forum. To stay will only frustrate not only myself, but other members here as well. And I submit to you, why should we pay for your stupidity and weirdness of not being able to act on real information? Because that's weird. To me, that's weird. You don't want to do the choosing, yet still you want to go out and spin your wheels? Maybe it's something wrong with my mind, but to me, that's just fucking weird. I don't get it. You guys who hold chase, I don't get it. Again, I'm an entrepreneur. I think like an entrepreneur. I don't think like a consumer. Can't grasp it. Number 3, if you are in either category, 1 or 2, the path of the supreme player is not for you. I recommend that you just go to a PUA house and hang out with those idiots. Or, excuse me, guys. Okay? That's where you belong. They hold chase like a motherfucker. You'll be happy. Just ignore the stuff they put out. But just hang out with those guys. Number 4. These are player rules. Because these I've come across this in this business. If you are a weird, quirky type with sex or mental issues, I meant to put a comma there, then leave the game, period. There's a new player rule that I realized that I need to put up. I get weird guys, creepy dudes that live in basements or in dark rooms, coming in and want to be players. You will never be a player. I get guys with sexual issues that can't have orgasms with women coming in trying to be players. You will not be a player. You will never make it. So don't waste my time and don't waste your time. Now let's get to some more player rules. To finish off this one, I said leave the game. You're not made for women, and why bring your mental fuck-ups to their table? I consider that very childish. If you're like a 30-year-old virgin and you're weird and creepy, forget it. Life has dealt you the hand, live with it. You can always go get a hooker and just be a trick. But at least you'll get some pussy. Number 5. Never leave a female that still has play in her with no replacement. And I've seen this one. Guys dump their female, don't have a replacement, like how women do it. They dump you, they got a new guy next week, because that dude was been in the wings waiting for the full go-ahead. Only idiots get emotional and blast out. Number 6, this game is a mental game. It's not an emotional game. It is a mental game. If you don't have the mindset to handle always being in the on state, then leave the game. Go and get yourself a girlfriend and call it a life. It takes a lot of mental strength to always be on. When I say on, as I said in the morning, when you wake up, you put your player face on. You put your player mindset on, basically. And you're always open and looking, always looking for new opportunities. Whether you're in business, where you're playing the game of business, playing the game of life, playing the game of getting pussy. You are always looking, always scanning. If you don't have the mental strength to do that, then just leave, get yourself a girlfriend, and just call it a fucking life. Don't waste my time because you are not mentally strong. Number 7, now I had some old lessons that I shared years ago. Never underestimate a woman. Ever. You've got to respect her ability to do a lot of emotional harm if you allow it. And most males, they allow it. Look at the Japanese guy that tried to blame me for his girl leaving. And then she told the truth of why she broke down and told the truth. Now, this is a negative towards women. They can be more deceitful and manipulative than you ever could be. Women have the potential to be way more deceitful, way more manipulative than you ever can be. You think you're being all manipulative and sneaky. They got you outclassed, outgunned, outgained. Don't ever assume that one is morally just than the next. Because girls have been players since their childhood. They have learned to use their outer beauty and this whole so-called, well, in the Caucasian community, you know, I've been watching these old Perry Mason shows, and then the women faint, they scream. So they learn to use their delicateness for personal gain. While some of them, not all women are like this, but there's some that actually have a monster inside of them that has learned to use us. That's our freaks. Women learn early that the best way to compensate for their lack of physical strength is to dominate what is called intangibles. And they excel in academics, by the way. In this community, they say, women are so stupid, they don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. That is put out by Western male mentality, which is wrong. They don't understand women. Women are actually pretty fucking smart. They combat each other with cuteness on a daily basis. They're looking at, you guys who have been around women, if you've been around women, look at her. She thinks she's all that. She's wearing a cheap purse. You know, they itemize each other. They compete with each other. Their most visible weapon, as I taught years ago and still teach, and weakness, are their emotions. That's why you got to learn to put emotions into your women. More on that in a minute. As I wrote, you know, you got to kind of think about them as, you know, Easter eggs. That's the analogy where I took that from. Think of it as an Easter egg with sour, mushy yolk. Now, their brains aren't sour, mushy when it comes to working on certain things. But when it comes to their own self-image is what I'm talking about here, is being mushy, because their emotions. Okay? Let's move on. Now, this was not written by me. I gathered these years ago, never shared them, but I'm putting them forward today. These particular old lessons. Actually, I posted them on the Pimps Network many years ago. Old lesson. And this one are my words. Women need attention. The player shouldn't be shy. If you're a shy guy, you will never be a player. As long as you stay shy. Okay? Those two can't go hand in hand together. So you got to get rid of your shyness. Many of you are watching this video, you just want a girlfriend. And even to get a girlfriend, you got to get rid of your shyness. It's not going to work. Women and shyness rarely come together. Yes, there are women that like a shy guy, but that's not the majority. We see that in Hollywood, where he's the shy, picked on guy in school, but the hottest cheerleader likes him. That's not going to happen in your life. It's only in Hollywood. But now this is, by the way, I combined my teachings with this material here. So, as I said years ago, this is where you exercise your greatest weapon, which is manipulation. Women are obsessed with their image. I want you guys to take advantage of that. As I said years ago, the approach, that's key. You got to be calm, but not dull. You got to be confident in your speech and manner. You got to stop stuttering. You got to stop sweating. You want to be alert and welcoming. And this goes into the other fellow's material. Not wide-eyed, overbearing. You want to begin with, as he stated, your prepared compliment. And then he goes on to talk about don't give your name first. That's a common mistake. Women don't initially care what your name is they want to hear about how pretty they are. And don't give a compliment on their looks. That's where I differ from this fellow. But women still need attention. Okay? We came together and put this shit together, and there were things I disagreed on and things I agreed on. Let's move on to the next one. You always want to develop rapport with females. And I mean always. That's a rule. That is a rule. It is so important that I made it a rule. You develop rapport through attention and communication. See, after your initial opening of her attention, that's where she's been choosing. She comes over and, you step over and you open her up. It gives you a nice little response back. Question arises, what do you do? What do you say? Well, a real player has total self-control. And they can adjust to any situation. If you're a beginner, and this is this fellow's advice, you want to practice various techniques and study females' responses. No one technique works on all women. Find the one that works best for you. Trial and error is your friend. You don't want to approach the same like a routine. And my advice was, fellas, you need to appear genuinely interested in the female that's choosing. You want to take care to make her feel special. And as I wrote, fellas want to feel special. So take a real interest in her as a human being. Now, my words, put your feelings, number 10, put your feelings into females. That's a rule. By the way, you're always putting female feelings into a female. Whether creepy feelings, whether she gets a feeling that you're an egghead, a nerd, or she gets a feeling that you're cool, that she thinks you're fascinating. People around you, every one of you guys, people around you, they have a feeling about you. If you can hire someone to go around and interview people, how do you feel about him? You guys have a feeling about me. And the way I've demonstrated myself to be through my podcast shows, through my communication on the forum, through my videos. We're constantly putting our feelings into other people. Or putting feelings in other people. And going back to the written stuff, women are all about feelings. And my words, and there's this huge misconception that players are these serious and all ice cold, non-feeling pimps. I'm ice cold. You got to be cold as ice. And I've always disagreed with that. So I said, sorry, Charlie, that just is not true. Women want to feel good. Your mission is to constantly give them pleasant feelings about you. Your mission is to put those feelings in her. Don't ever assume that you know it all and have all the answers. Okay? look, as I said, look, just ask her questions about herself. Those are my words. Then you want to listen closely. Women will give you the clues on how to fuck or make love to them. They will tell you how to give them kind of atmosphere that they require. In a lot of cases, you'll have to earn some level of trust with them. Maybe not in the nightclubs, but if she feels that rapport, she'll go home with you right then and there. But there's been issues lately of a certain person on the forum trying to bum rush girls without having developed rapport or trust. And as I said, I know, yes, this can be time-consuming, even annoying, but you, the player, you got to stay focused and on top of your game. You want to tap into her sense of humor, make her laugh, and fellas, this is very important. I cut the other guy's words out. I got tired of using this shit. Now, some moral shit. These are from my original, I've dropped some of the stuff that's in there. These are my original player rules. A player keeps his emotions to himself. When a woman asks, how was your day? Oh, I had a bad... You don't ever say that. Keep your fucking emotions to yourself. Don't bitch out. It's like what I learned about being in business and in business with you guys. This is true. Nobody gives a fuck about you. I hate to say something that harsh, but I've learned that people truly are out for their own self-interest. And I say that about every one of my clients, even though I've been camping with some. If I didn't provide the service I provide, I wouldn't even be in their life. So people don't give a fuck about you. They only care about their own self-interest. And I've seen that over and over again. There was a fellow that I was working with privately and friends with. And I realized, this fellow's only interested in his own, me giving him compliments on his game and his own interests. It just reaffirmed. People don't give a fuck about you. Okay? So keep your emotions to yourself. They don't care. A player is his own best company. If you feel like you got to crave friendship, and I know it's like to be lonely. I've intimated that several times, even for male friendship. But you got to learn to be your own best company. A player should be Prince Charming to the females. They should think you're God. Now, over time, that wears out. That's why every female has a shelf life on her. When she starts, and my own girlfriend's going through this right now. I tell her to get up, give us coffee. She shambles into the kitchen, slams some counters, some drawers or whatever. So we're about at the end of our shelf life, unless I tighten her up. And it'll be my choice to do that or not do that if I want to continue. Because I don't tolerate bad behavior for long from a female. I know one guy that tolerated a girl that for 2 years he was with her, and he tolerated bad behavior. She was jealous all the time. He didn't control his female. I'll leave him nameless. He did not control his female. A player should always be determined in any and everything. Don't come in half doing shit. Be determined to learn the truth of this game. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. That's a Zen saying. And I find that to be true. unfortunately. A player should always recognize and respect other players. That was my issue with Alfonso. That's why I was upset at you, Alfonso. Okay? You should always recognize and respect other players that are on the path. Those private emails you sent me, that irritated the fuck out of me. I know you got your feelings hurt and you've been a little bit more distant. But you got to learn the rules. If we don't have each other as bros, then hoes are going to rule. A player cannot feel like a player with just one female. My advice is raise a stable, fellas. I get it all the time. And then they even use the pimp term. I got my bottom hoe. Do you have others on your team? No. I know I need other girls, but I got my bottom hoe. No, you got a girlfriend. And you're trying to wear the rep and the mantle of a player when you have a girlfriend. That's disrespecting me. That's disrespecting the girl. You guys who have done that, you've disrespected. And I'm going to start calling you on that. Well, I always call them on that shit. But I'm going to start clowning you for that shit. Don't come at me talking about a bottom girl. They don't call them, a lot of them, they don't say bottom hoe. They say a bottom girl, main girl, whatever. You got a girlfriend. Because a player always works to get girls in a stable. 24-hour job. That's why you have your internet dating. To be working for you while you're sleeping. While you're at work prostituting yourself to get a paycheck. A player loves it when his women love him. And that's one of my personal pet peeves and rules. I got to have the love of women. Now, mine's based on everything comes out of your child. I told you fellas how when I was like 3 months old, my mom took off, left me with my dad. And my dad gave me two twin sisters. So I didn't get that kinesthetic touching of a mother. Plus, my mom used me to entrap my dad. So that was never there. So I've always required love from women. But I believe it's true. How can you have a woman in your stable that does not love you? When they love you, they will do anything for you, include pay for your dinner, pay for your trips, buy you clothes. I need to also add in there, a player is a lower level of a pimp. Just doesn't put your girls on the streets. Or lower level of a Mac. Because that's the level that I got to. I didn't call myself a Mac. But I got all the stuff that Macs get. And if you don't know what a Mac is, a Mac has women that pays his rent, pays his car note. He lives off of women without putting them on the streets. Although he's got that same power. That he could switch to that. Okay? And that's the level that I got to. As I pointed out, I've had women kissing my feet. I've gotten money, checks, $5,000 check. I've gotten cars. But that's all stuff that my little son Tracy did too. He's gotten money, cars, motorbikes. I did a video on it on my old channel. He rose way faster than I ever did in this game. Now he's settled down and married with 2 kids. And he's playing the game of business. As I said, his goal for next year is 2.5 mil. He made a couple $100,000 this year. That's why he takes me to the movies now. He's paying back for what we did for him as a child, and I love that about him. A player is the loneliest person in the world. You really can't be close to your women, unfortunately. I said it's a tightrope that you have to walk. You really can't be close to your women because when you open up your heart, You can't play what you love. As a pimp can't pimp what he loves. Women that he's in love with. This ties in number one, because women will sleep with other dudes to pay you back. And if you can't keep your heart in check, because that's happened to me, then you will not make it as a supreme player. So because we cannot open our hearts to these women and get all cuddly love, I like to do that, but I keep my heart to myself. I let it, just a fraction of it peek out. I'm very tender. I'm very loving. I was very loving to the women. I tried to be very close, even though I can say the majority of the time most of it was a facade. They're there to fit my needs, my sexual needs, and the other needs I had for my women. But that becomes very lonely because you can't truly open up. Like, there was a time where I watched old school anime. These weak motherfuckers that are watching my videos, they think I watch the new anime. I can't even stomach that shit. My women didn't know that I watched that stuff. Or that I watched, I used to watch Saturday morning cartoons when I was married, but that's kind of stuff that I watch on the Cartoon Network. I'd go there and watch, the adult stuff. They didn't know that. I didn't share that with them. Only person I've shared that with is, I think, one girl in the past, and then Jovina. By the way, people thought I watched anime all the time. I'm sorry, but there was no internet back in the 90s, the early 90s. I didn't come online until late 90s, and I didn't discover that stuff till 2000s. But they did have cable, and I didn't always have cable. I got a black box from one of my women, and at one period of time, I would take Tuesdays off just so I could spend time with myself, my downtime. And I would turn that black box on for the cable, and it got this one channel that showed old school anime. People think I did it all the time, and I didn't. It was like a short period of time. What I used to do was actually rent movies. A lot of the women didn't like sci-fi, and I wouldn't make them sit there and watch it if they didn't really like it. So I would catch up on my sci-fi stuff. They have this movie place called Blockbuster. I believe it's now out of business. Got taken over by, and I watched this happen, and I was wondering if it would work. Those $1 overnight movie places, Red something or another, Red Box. I watched those grow. Now, many of you guys grew up with that shit. I watched the companies come out. I watched Blockbuster come out. I watched the first video houses come out back in the Betamax days. You could rent VHS or Betamax. Betamax was clearer than VHS at the time. So I watched the growth of these. And I used to, when I was married, I used to watch the weirdest shit. I'm trying to think of some of the titles. There was the one about the worms that were under the earth that come up and eat people, and they evolved into different things like ass weasels and graboids. I used to watch that type of cheap science fiction. But getting back on point, it was lonely. I didn't get male friends until the middle 90s when I finally said something to Tall Mr. Naked. Actually, I was gonna fight the dude. I thought he was a faggot because he came with this little chubby white guy at the club, this one club all the time. Tall Mr. Negative did, and the way he danced was, I thought the way the white guy danced was just kind of faggoty. But he came close to me and kind of bumped into me. And I don't remember what I said to him, but I said something to him. And then we started talking. And we became friends. So I had some friends through the middle, all the way to early 2000s. Stopped going out with Tom's Negative. our main club, America Live, closed. We started going to 815 L Street. And then I met my boy Craig, and then I started going out with Craig. So that lasted like early 2000s. Then I was out in the clubs by myself again as I started. I recommend when you become the top level player that you go out alone. You beginners, you can go out with your butt boys and all that kind of stuff. It's fun. It's fun to have some camaraderie. So that's a new rule that I want to change. Beginners, you might want to go out with some backup because shit happens in the clubs. As you become more advanced, I would like for you to drop your boyfriends that you hold your hands with and learn to develop the power to go in alone. That way your power is all yours. There's power in a group. And years ago, I did a conference call. I had one of the girls I had been with come on the call. And she gave the guys the advice that when you're in a group, women can't see you. They also cannot feel you. There's too many guys to look at. So you guys who go out in the groups, you are killing your own game. Especially you black dudes. Your friend, they may be more attracted to your friend than you. And I see guys do this all the time with internet dating photos. They take a photo with other dudes. Who does that? Other dudes in the photo. I thought about that and I realized, damn, that's stupid. Why would you post photos of other dudes? And I think on one site in Love is Colorblind, that's where people came. They're looking for, black men, basically. And that's where the one I got 17 emails in 1 hour, by the way. I think I used a photo of me in a club. And I was standing, no, actually I don't think I used, no, I didn't use that. I thought I used it on that one to show that I had, white friends, but I didn't. All eyes should be on you. That's my point. As I'm continuing to go through this material. Now, let's look at some points to think about. Some rules for the game. Women need obstacles in order to keep and hold their interest. So as I said years ago, look at romance novels. I'm still saying it. This is old stuff. Hope you guys don't mind. Old teachings that I did years ago. Now, when you look at these romance novels, you'll see the characters have to overcome obstacles to their love. Now, when a woman dumps a man, 9 times out of 10, she was bored in the relationship. What I've told you, boredom is like kryptonite. Boredom to women is death. Now, I'll share some of the ideas that I gathered back then. You can hold her interest by maintaining obstacles. Number 1, play hard to get. And that doesn't mean to act all snooty. I'm going to state that that's when you act overly eager and you start bowing down. You start buying her drinks. You start begging for a phone number. No. I always had women give me their phone number first. I've never asked for their phone number. Okay? But let's say that this is for when you're with the female, though. So you can still play hard to give up your love. Number 2, get mad at shit. Don't be this during the relationship. Remember, she needs that up and down roller coaster thing. It's okay to get mad at shit. Don't try to elicit happy faces after you don't got the pussy all the time. Every now and then, you want to be, number 3, be difficult. Number 4, disagree with her ass on issues. Number 5, don't stop going out with your boys. And that's kryptonite. Because you start spending all your time with your girl. You're stuck up in her face 24/7. You start saying, "What do you want to do tonight, dear?" You done lost your game by then. Now, I wrote this a long time ago, so I use different language. I'm going to just replace the B word there with female. Now, she's going to look sad and grumble and gripe and complain. But that means she feels something, okay? And to a woman, it's better to feel something than to feel nothing. The dull deadness of this motherfucker's in my face every day, all day long. That's why I say you don't see your women all through the week. Twice at most. You keep her wanting you. I've learned that females do need a good fight every now and then. So they can feel passionate when you make up. It also allows them to release those pent-up emotions. Remember, women are emotional creatures. And if you're not strumming her emotional violin, because the violin can produce sad music and happy music, then she's going to get bored. So instead of avoiding the fight, next time, number one, argue the fuck back. Let the fight happen. Don't simp out. Number three, get mad. And number four, do some play acting too. If you simp out to the female, the female will not get the emotional release that she needs, and you will no longer be seen as a real man. You'll be seen as a simp. Oh, he bends to me. I just don't like that. You've heard girls say that. I've got it matched with my finger. I'm bored. Some of you have heard girls say that you've heard, being around when they're talking about to other girls about, dudes. See, I work with women. That's how I make my money. So I hear it all. I've heard it all, fellas. I used to train 37 clients, and only 3 of them were dudes. So I've heard it all. As I wrote back then, this woman stuff is a game. And like any game, you don't score if you don't play. So we start, I use the word macking, playing on females. Approach that shit like it's a game. And you guys are gamers. Even though maybe you will deny it, but you got the addiction of gamers. Well, this is a game too. Play it like a game, in other words. If you think women are into games, again, read a romance novel. As I wrote then, that shit's full of plot, intrigue, surprises, challenges, and obstacles. So when you start getting out there, don't go with the idea of being honest and no game playing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say that. You will conquer them if you do the opposite. And by the way, they're doing it to you. More than likely, they're doing it to you. Is that a real bra size? Or is she wearing some gels in there? Does her ass really look like that? Or when she gets out of them tight jeans, does her ass fall down? They're doing it to you. That's not being honest. Is that really her hair color? That's not her honest hair color. Secondly, don't ever bore a bitch. Bore a female. As I said earlier, women are extremely sensitive to boredom. So vary the mix. Make her feel something. As I wrote back then, I read that the best movies are the ones that make you laugh, cry, and think. And as I said back then, it's still true today. There's your key. Now, I'm not saying this is how you open with girls. No, this is after you done scored the pussy. And you're fucking on a regular basis, by the way. So think of some cool shit to involve females in. Like, I took a white guy's list of stuff. Bungee jumping, motorcycle riding, amusement parks, skydiving. And females dominant society females, many of them like that stuff, like amusement parks. You'll find stuff that they actually like. Not all of them like bungee jumping. But I've never seen a woman, even black chicks, like amusement parks. It makes them remember you deeply. Conquering them isn't always about fucking the shit out of them. As I wrote back then, I just watched this East Indian produced movie called The Guru. And one character said the greatest sexual organ in the human body is the brain. That's old news. I learned that from the Pimp Game. I just remembered, this is in my words. Number 3. Guys who are a challenge are what turn these females on. The reason that women want the best catch of the day. Remember I talked about how don't think Jovina didn't go back after we started fucking, bragging about how I owned the business. Don't think she didn't brag about every time I won a competition in public speaking to her coworkers. So I was the catch of the day. The harder you play at being caught, the more your value goes up in her eyes. Excuse my voice. We'll give it a moment to come back. Sorry about this. If I can remember, I'll try to edit it out. Let me continue. They don't just want any old easy to catch fool. They want the hard to get guy whom all the girls want. Excuse me. Whom all the guys want. Okay? Actually, these were my words. I just now remember that. I didn't remember Kaza. I did see this movie, The Guru. But this was old. Continuing. It's better to show only moderate interest. And by the way, that's what got me the hottest girl that I've ever been with. She's one that, she's with some big rock star now. She was small potatoes in Sacramento. She won when she was young. She in a beauty contest and won. She was the side piece of one of the Kings, the Sacramento Kings, because she came to train with me because the owner of the studio had already boned her and didn't want anything to do with her. So she came to me to get revenge. I figured that out real quick. But I said, fuck, this girl's fine. And I treated her like shit. I clowned her. Didn't take her seriously. Within a month, she said, Chris, I'm in love with you. This is back in the 90s. This is before anything was, there was no internet. There was no public internet that I knew of. Let me put it like that. At that time. So by me treating her like shit, because I learned treat girls like shit. For some reason they liked it. Be unavailable. I just kept telling myself, it's because I'm a Gemini. And fellas, I had so much fun back then. I laughed every day. Playing these girls was fun. And then they're calling, begging for my attention. Of course, that fed to my ego. And I giggled, I laughed. They leave messages on my answer machine. I laughed my ass off. So I just did it the same way. I acted like I wasn't impressed by her beauty. And that's what did it. Even though I secretly was, I didn't show it. So by giving her the Chris treatment, within a month, she had fallen in love. Like, wow. So show moderate interest in a female that you want. Give attention to other females in the area. This is advice that I actually read. This statement here. And I'm not sure if that's can be considered valid because I look at the way I did the game. And when I was with them, I was giving my total attention. Okay? Because that's the way I am. But this might work for other people, is why I added this one guy's statement here. When you give attention to other women, women get jealous. It makes it more competitive. And I saw that as a valuable tool, although I don't use it. I've always tried to show the females when I take them out, I give them complete attention. So you have a choice of doing my method or doing this method. It is valid and it does work because they do get jealous. Go back to when I talked about when I was in the club and Jovina got up and went to the bathroom and Desiree came sniffing over. And then Jovina came back and I introduced them. It amped up Jovina. She started kissing all over me. I went to a private party. One of my clients, she had just came out with a TV show. She used to do the lotto spin a long time ago when they had the lotto show. They would spin the wheel. She was the larger, not fat, but tall and huge chest and, kind of buffed sister was on there. And we were at her house and she felt insecure. And my client, she was a comedian. She named Jovina Suckface because she's always sucking on my face. When she realized there were other cute girls in the room and got a little insecure. Okay? So it does work. But I made sure I gave her attention. I've always done that. Insecurity does push women to you. But I do recommend that you play hard to keep. Hard to get, hard to keep. Be only mildly interested. Be on the slightly cooler side. Basically, my point there is don't simp. Keep confident. And let them hoes compete for your attention. Okay? That's my rules for 2017. Along with the extra stuff, the extra teaching. Peace out, fellas.